I guess this is a time where a lot of people are feeling a lot of anxiety. They're feeling anxiety because of COVID, it's changing world, things like the changing geopolitical situation.
Yep.
We've seen enormous shifts in how we understand the climate. With your auntie hat on, your distinguished aunt hat on, what's your advice for people in terms of how they navigate this?
Look, I mean, COVID, I think what COVID, instead of seeing COVID as negative, I think it's about, COVID gives us an opportunity to think about who we are as humans. It gives us the opportunity to slow down. It gives us the opportunity to think and love more with our families. You know, COVID, even though they're apart, I think what COVID has done to some degree is reminded us that we are in relationship with everything, right? And that is not something that we should, you know, say, oh, COVID's going to be finished and we can revert back to, because we really need to think about that in relation to the future. COVID is telling us, I guess, you know, for all the climate change that's occurred, we know that that's really bad human behaviour that's created it. And bad human behaviour has created COVID, right? So what does that mean? You know, if these are the outcomes of bad human behaviour, what do we learn from that? And how do we not do it again? How do we understand that COVID, that Mother Earth is talking to us through COVID? Mother Earth, it's so much quieter. The whales are singing and going stupid, right? Because of the inactivity of us on this planet, the slowing down of things. All I could do was smile when I got the report that the dolphins were back in the canals in Venice, right? And why wouldn't they be? Because our nonsense had stopped, you know? And so how do we as humans understand ourselves beyond ourselves as the centre of things and the planet, and to understand the planet as something that is alive? You know, it might blow everybody's heads, but if you just sit there and think, this building is on something that's actually alive. And then you think, how would you feel? And then you think, oh, over here they're going to dig me up, or they're going to extract this out of me. And, you know, science wants to tell us it's got the answer for everything. And in some ways it's become a religion. But science can't answer everything. You know, we need to think differently as humans. We need to aspire to be different kinds of humans from the capitalist-produced one that's occurred in the last couple of centuries, right? Like, we've got to change the focus. We really have to stop being so self-centred. We've got to become less possessive. We've got to become more caring, more sharing. We've got to take care of country, right? You all don't need a brand new mobile phone, right? You've got to think of your carbon footprint in terms of technology. You know, we're blinded by the fact that technology is supposedly enabling us. What is it actually enabling us to do? And what is it doing for the planet? What's invisible about this energy use? These are the things that I sit and think about, because I lived in a world that didn't have that, right? And I was raised on country to understand that it's alive. And one of the most telling things for me about Aboriginal people, when you go out into community, this is just we walk lightly on the land. I got asked once, did I do ballet? And I said no. She was a ballerina. I said, no, I don't. She said, oh my God, you walk like a dancer, you're so light on your feet. I said, that's because I'm I was taught basically about placing my feet and my body and my weight on the earth, right? To have a consciousness of that. And so I don't step around, you know, like, They're just differences in the way in which cultures talk, and Indigenous cultures fundamentally are about being part of the earth. They're not about being separate from it. And so relationality is where we begin. It's the premise of who we are. We can't know unless we're related. We are not who we are without being related to somebody. And, it might be a good thing for white people to start thinking about. Like, who are you? Where do you come from? Who is your mob? How did you get to be here? Like, how does that history unfold? And then maybe you'll understand when we say to you, you benefit from our dispossession every day. Right? You might think you're a good white person and good luck, lovely. My husband thinks he's a really good person. I keep telling him he benefits from the dispossession every day. It's like how do you then work to change that?
It just...
Yeah,
well, no. It shows the wisdom of our elders that you anticipated a couple of questions that have come through, now that I know what they are. And that was one about acknowledging that white women need Indigenous wisdom right now, from Kristen, who asks what opportunities do people have, non-Indigenous people, white women, to learn more about Indigenous perspectives and ways of being. And similarly, a question from Anonymous about how do privileged white women practically support their Indigenous sisters in 2022. So I wonder if there were anything you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, look, you can start with yourself. Okay? Please don't run to help us, because it's help yourself. Start with you. Start with your families. It's part of changing, being that kind of human being. It's what the message is on point. Fundamentally, you need to look at yourself, your relationship to your mob, what happened, how you got there, and then maybe come and talk to us. But don't come and damage us more, by wanting to help us. Don't do that, because, it's like Foley says, we have missionaries, mercenaries, morons and misfits, that come to us. And it's true. And so it's not as though our lives are burdened already. We then got crazies that we have to. And, most black fellas take care of white fellas, they do. Sometimes you just go, oh, come on. But it's a labour, right? It's a labour that you have to do when people are ignorant of their own white race privilege. But it's laborious in the sense that you have to take care of them because they're on your country, and it's laborious in the sense that you've got to try and teach them, even though they don't want to know. And it's laborious because you're standing there going, why the hell am I dealing with this person who's come to help? It's like, please go away. Yeah, I do. I hide a lot. There are times when I've had white people come to help Farah, and you'd find me in the toilet. Because I'd have to sit in there because my temper would get the worst. I'd be sitting there going, just let it go. It's come on now, can't help it. Dougal can't help it. Your grandmother would say, they only got to live in one culture, poor things. And therefore, you've got to think about the fact you've got to take care of them because you've lived in more and you know about more. So you know what? You've got to just... She would. That's what she would say to us. And we got that. You have to feel sorry for them. They're not real smart.